Welcome to Green Talk by Green Care Solutions on KCAA NBC Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and YouTube. Today we have CEO of Nerovana, Andy Huang. I'm your host, Breal. We're in quarantine, so we're being safe and keeping our distance. I'm here video Zooming with my co-hosts.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Angela Mazzanti. Now, remember, this is a cannabis-friendly and educational program. You must be 21 years of age to listen or watch, and we're not doctors, but Green Care Solutions has doctors for you. And due to CDC guidelines, NBC Radio is considered a essential business, and as long as we follow all those CDC guidelines, we should be good.
Yes, and we are social distancing. I have my mask. I was wearing it earlier. Angela has her mask. So Green Care Solutions is a accredited and licensed company. They're also featured on Forbes. You can follow their Instagram at Green Care Solutions 420 and their website greencaresolutions.com. This show is brought to you by Keyzone of Van Nuys. They are an essential business as well. If you're locked out of your house, your car, anything, they are there to save the day. Their website is keyzonelocksmith.com. Their Instagram is also Keyzone Locksmith. Their phone number is 818-437-9399. They're going to hook you up, B, if you ever get locked out of your home or car of anything.
Right on. Let's get into the show. Welcome, Andy Huang from Nerovana. Andy, with Nerovana, you guys have products that are marketed under various brands such as Pure8 and others. Can you explain how that works?
Sure, definitely. We have quite a few products. We're in the cannabis space with hemp and also THC. And then our hemp brand is Royal Botanical. And the Pure8, when we first started, photocatalytic titanium dioxide work against any microorganism. So we took this technology and we were promoting it to indoor cultivations. As the legalization happened in 2016, the states mandate that no fungicides is allowed in the cultivation process. So we brought a ton of these titanium dioxide in and then basically service indoor cultivations to use titanium dioxide. Now, it's not widely known to use it in the U.S., but the Canadian indoor growers, the big guys like the Cannabis Growth and then Tilray, Aurora, they all use titanium dioxide to mitigate and then reduce the amount of fungus and mold that could happen in an indoor cultivation. And it just so happened this kills microorganisms from germs, bacteria, virus, algae, fungus. It comes in really handy now at our current crisis.
100%. I mean, I was also reading about some of the stuff your company does, and these sprays are amazing because it stays on the surface that you spray on, so it prevents the germs or the virus to stay on there. Because you were telling me when I was speaking with you prior to this interview that when we use our hand sanitizer, it doesn't really clean the surface as much, and then obviously other people come and they touch that surface, that light, everything, the switch for the lights. So this spray basically kind of keeps it clean for a lot longer, correct?
That's correct. When it's applied to the surface, it utilizes lights that emits negative ion. So it becomes a self-cleansing process, and then it also helps neutralize odor. Yeah, so this product, when it's treated on any surfaces, it actually binds to it. And as long as it doesn't get cleaned off, it will emit negative ion. To neutralize odor, it will repel and kill fungus, bacteria, any micro living organism, including viruses. So as long as it stays on the surface, it remains active. And we have a proprietary bonding agent. So if you wipe it with cleaning agents, you can wipe it off. But most people don't wipe their walls with cleaning agents. So if you have it on your jacket, you can spray on your grocery, you can spray on your gloves, you can spray on your mask. And then this becomes like an invisible shield where when you're walking outside and the any living microorganism come close to it, the negative ion will actually penetrate its cell membrane. So if you happens to breathe in anything, you're actually breathing in something that's dead already.
Oh, interesting. And what's cool too is I feel like this is something that needs to be sold at all the CVS's, Walmart's, Targets at the moment, because what you just said, like even if you do breathe in the cell, it's dead.
Correct.
This will be great for your studio, B.
Oh yeah,
you need
that would be great for anywhere. I mean, especially in cultivations, but because obviously that is the one thing that any cultivation worries about is the crops getting infected by something, and to have some sort of agent that doesn't affect the crops in terms of like the insecticides and pesticides and whatever that you can't use because it's unhealthy for people and it's unhealthy for the plant. I mean, it's great when you have something that is not going to affect people, but will clean and cleanse and make sure that everything is the way that it's supposed to be in terms of the place being completely sanitized. I mean, that's important in cultivation because whatever you bring from the outside, you bring into the cultivation, and that could contaminate the crops.
Well, that's part of the problem with like the insecticides and like the pesticides right now is like once you get into flower, like anything you're going to use is going to damage your product or like could alter like the growth of it or anything from like burning the plants. So it is really cool to have something like that to be able to take care of that problem.
Yes.
It's like preventative, right?
That's correct. It's preventative. Once you spray it, you treat it, basically your air quality inside the grow room are going to be like rainforest. It's actually better for the plants because you got so much negative ion inside a cultivation space, and it'll also help mitigate any fungus and mold from happening in the treated areas.
It's almost better as if you're building a cultivation now to spray it before anything goes in there.
That's correct. And we generally recommend every 3 months. So every post-harvest, when you're going cleaning and sanitizing the room before the next cultivation cycle, treat it again. So it's always active in that environment.
And how can people purchase from you? They just go to your website. I have it right down here. Is it the Nerovana?
On Nerovana is more of the commercial side of it. So for the consumer product we have, it's actually on Pure8.co.
I'm going to have it right down here, everyone. Pure8.co.
Yes.
What's really cool, too, is that I was reading from a few articles that you sent me that in 2015, apparently, that they had these cell phone cases that were repellents to germs, but it just never, ever got on the market.
That's correct.
Do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yes. So I can, kind of talk about this technology. So photocatalytic titanium dioxide was started and invented by the Japanese about 30 years ago. And then the progression of it is it's been used in mostly industrial applications. So a lot of the high-rise building is contaminated with different chemicals, especially formaldehyde. So with the usage of titanium dioxide, it can neutralize a lot of the chemical pests. So in the Asian countries where they have a lot of high-rise, every new building, they generally coat it after finish with photocatalytic titanium dioxide to get rid of the chemical toxins. And then they'll clear it with a clear coat. And then the Japanese took it further where they use it on Disneyland in Japan to keep the environment safe. And the Taiwanese government back in 2003, when they had the SARS outbreak, they actually used this to contain SARS. So since then, this got really famous in Asia because the Taiwanese government used it in the president's office and also local hospital and public transportation. So there has been a lot of studies that's been done on photocatalytic titanium dioxide. And back to your point where with the cell phones that was coming out, Wired magazine did a report where because this is probably the dirtiest thing
exactly.
that we have.
I've been sanitizing this so much.
And then there was a technology to use photocatalytic titanium dioxide and silver ion on the display. But the challenge was to actually do it at scale on such a sensitive screen. So that technology was never adopted on cell phone screens. But we know that concept works. It just binding it on like an OLED screen makes it very challenging. So that's why that technology never launched. But the principle and the actual efficacy of photocatalytic titanium dioxide has been proven for over 30 years.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, they should definitely, iPhones, I always have my iPhone on me. They should have that technology up there soon. Maybe after this pandemic, that's going to be the thing they're going to start doing.
Well, I mean,
Hopefully.
The way that you can do it is you just spray it.
I'm like, here.
You just spray it.
Give me a little spray there too.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Be Real, he has a few dispensaries, Dr. Green Thumb Dispensary. Would this be something that eventually like people can have in dispensaries or at stores that they can kind of just sell? Or I don't know. I know right now it's kind of weird because the priority are the hospitals, right?
Correct.
How do also essential businesses like dispensaries, newsrooms, because we are NBC Radio, we are a newsroom, how do we also protect ourselves from preventing spreading
Fast
the
food,
virus?
especially.
Oh, food, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
Postmate workers, Uber drivers.
Yes. I mean, I think, on the commercial level, we want to deploy it to the public sector as soon as possible to reduce the transmission, because these are the frontline guys who's saving us. But then on our retail product, it is available to be purchased online. It's just we don't have the commercial size because those are dedicated to the EMS, the firefighters, the police, the fire departments, and also city government workers.
Man, we're living in a wild movie, aren't we?
Yes.
I feel every day I wake up, I'm like,
doesn't feel real.
Can't believe we're still in quarantine. And we were speaking to Ben Baller to our other show that we already had aired last week, and it's going to be a complete norm for another year or two.
I think
masks.
I think masks and just like, I mean, I'm a very big like germaphobe for the most part, so I think these kind of practices should already be in place. Like, I've been wearing masks on planes and everything for the past 3-4 years, just because of, you don't know, like most people, you go on a plane, you hear people coughing, you hear people sneezing, and I've seen so many people not cover their mouth, and not compared to like China and everything, where they are a very heavily mask culture. I think with our population, we should still be doing all that stuff to prevent any kind of illness, not just COVID-19, but just anything in general.
Yes, exactly.
And B, you are always on tour. B sells out concerts, arenas, huge parks. He sometimes performs around 70,000 people. What happened in Canada? I saw some crazy videos, like 100,000 people jumping in sequence to your songs.
Well,
That's going to be the new norm. All the masks.
That's like a routine that we came up with to tribute the House of Pain, which is our good friends, family for many years. And a lot of people used to think they confuse us, so they think we're that we did this song and stuff like that. So what we would do is just for an Instagram moment or a social media moment, we would make everybody crouch down. And when the song starts, it was just an explosion of people jumping up and down in unison.
Mm-hmm. And, it's pretty cool. It's gone viral on social media and YouTube. But, with events that Be Real performs at, concerts he throws, Cypress Hill, sells out, right?
Being Be Real and not being able to perform on 420 is going to be crazy.
Which is going, yes.
It's tough in terms of that. I mean, because as an artist who is out there, like many others that, the live show is something that we thrive on and that we, make money off of. I mean, it's tough. You have to come up with creative ways, while you're at home to, supplement income. And as an artist, try to be creative. So I think, you're going to see an influx of artists like doing more at home performances and stuff like that, or different creative, content. I don't know. For me, I've always managed to keep busy juggling a bunch of different things. So, these podcasts, that we can do in this form where, Zoom exists and other platforms like it to allow us to have these conversations and educate people. I mean, that's pretty much where it's at right now.
Yeah, most definitely. And also, since Dr. Green Thumb also offers delivery, how is it with your delivery drivers? Do you guys use like Weed Maps or other companies? And is it mandatory for them to have hand sanitizers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we make sure that everybody is going out with all the guidelines, hand sanitizers, the masks, and sanitizing the vehicle and the obviously the whole facility of the dispensary and everything else that relates to it. I mean, we're trying to make it as safe as possible. Mm-hmm. And that's all we can do, try to deliver the medicine or products that they're ordering from us, as safely and as clean as possible. So, that's something that, we're focusing on and until, something changes.
100%. And I know, B, I know you have another call to get on, but do you have any questions for Andy before you head out?
I think what a lot of people are probably going to start asking is, what masks should they have? What masks work? What masks don't?
Well, so any mask that you apply, the photocatalytic titanium dioxide will work. So different masks has different filtering systems, but when you do apply, our photocatalytic titanium dioxide on there, the negative ion is actually going to be, our nano size is about 5, so it can penetrate, any living organism's cell membrane. So it becomes extremely safe regardless of the type of mask that you actually use, to spray it on. But we recommend, like if you use the disposable ones, don't keep it more than 7 days. It's not going to smell, but we do have oral bacteria that it will neutralize and kill. But it's your saliva that will damage the fiber.
That's
so
true.
It will make it last longer, but it just doesn't last that long. So instead of throwing one away every day, it can last you, at least 7 days.
And I really love that you brought this knowledge and this technology to our studio, because it breaks my heart when I see, especially the elderly, not available to get these resources or this information. And we get a lot of listeners who aren't aware of cannabis or aren't aware of things that you're bringing to the table, this knowledge. So everyone that's listening, check out their website, which is Pure8, just the number, .co.
Yes.
And they can get retail, or is it only wholesale?
It's retail.
Retail and wholesale.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for bringing that on here. And B, I know you have to go, but I wanted you to speak with them, and they're definitely going to ship you some of these products. We're going to continue the show because I have so many questions for you. I have like pages and pages for Andy right now, and so does Angela. But B, thank you so much for your time. Please be safe. Everybody that's watching and listening on iHeartRadio, check out the Dr. Green Thumb podcast on iHeart. He also has a Smoke Box as well. They have reruns of the Smoke Box on Breal TV. They have some really cool content. And be safe, B.
Likewise, and thank you, Andy.
Thank you, B.
Really wanted to take the time and focus on your brand. And I really have so many questions for you, especially the one that I noticed when I was studying your brand is that, what do you mean by light infused after you spray?
So when you it's basically light activated. It's not light infused. So this utilizes lights. So titanium dioxide is approved by the FDA to be added in food, supplement, and cosmetic. It's commonly used in sunblock. So when people apply it, it becomes like the shield on your body that it reflects the UV light or the harmful rays of the sun. And when it's nano-sized with photocatalyst agent in there, it emits negative ion. And then it's the negative ion that is neutralizing any chemical toxins in the air, and is also killing, different microorganisms like germs, bacteria, fungus, algae, and viruses. So, it basically utilizes the power of light to activate the negative ion to do all the different functions that it has.
Which is why it works so well in like grow rooms and everything like that, because they're filled with light.
Exactly.
Yes. Because there's multiple applications to it. I mean, some people use it to reduce odor or eliminate odor. Some people use it to get rid of chemical toxins. Some people just use it for disinfecting. And then the great thing about it is it becomes a coating or a shield that you can't see, but it repels all the contaminants when it stays on the surface, and then this could stay up to about 3 months of time.
So now with like sanitize, like, okay, say you harvest everything, you sanitize your grow, obviously, which if you're not and you're growing out there, you probably should.
Right.
You only have to use this during that sanitation process, or is it safe to use still, like when plants like have been involved in everything like that? Like say you start to notice mold or something like that coming from like your clones because you got them somewhere else. Would it still work in the process of like when you're in veg and everything like that?
Yes. Yeah, you can always use it. It's just we recommended that you could treat it as much as you like, but it does wear off. So if somebody comes in and start cleaning the walls with chemicals, then they can wipe that off.
Like Lysol or.
But it's
or
even safe in like the flowering process still.
Yes,
Okay.
it is safe because it doesn't really the plants. It doesn't hurt the plant.
And can people use this for farming, like in produce? Because right now we're heavily dependent on farm workers. And I respect all you guys. Thank you so much for keeping our grocery stores filled during this pandemic. Can let's say in the future, can these farmers use these type of chemicals versus other chemicals?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is titanium dioxide is a natural mineral. So yes, definitely they can spray their fruits and vegetables with it. We generally recommend like grocery stores, if they're going to deploy it, spray on their boxed goods, right? So when there's lights in the stores, it's always disinfecting. So no matter whoever touches it, is resisting any germs or bacteria or virus to stay on the packaging of the goods.
Wow. Yes, because I've been terrified now at the supermarkets. And I kind of saw it coming as well, because I recall that when everybody was hoarding and over purchasing, I was like, wow, you guys are bringing the virus to the market right now.
Everybody's touching everything.
These alternative products, because like you're saying, it keeps the surface clean, right? Because Pure8 doesn't keep it clean that long. And then someone, switches that light shifter, opens that door. So
this becomes like a self-cleaning process, right? So like a door handle, how many times would you actually clean a door handle? You can't wipe it down 100 times. Every time somebody touches it, you swipe it with Clorox. That's almost impossible. But when you put this on a door handle, let's say the fourth person, has some sort of germs or virus or bacteria, and then they put it on there. The 50 people behind him gets it. But at least when you put photocatalytic titanium dioxide coating on it, it prevents, the spread, because when they touch it, it dies. So, the next person, or at least the next 30 people that touches it, are not going to, carry it and touch their face or eat food with it. So it's sort of a safeguard to reduce the transmission as much as possible.
Wow, that's powerful. I really hope that soon we can find more of Pure8 everywhere, because I feel like we're so accustomed to just regular hand sanitizer. A quick question for you too. What are your thoughts about the medications that they're putting money into research, of course, for the COVID-19 virus? One is the hydroxychloroquine. And with that, they're saying hopefully that might be what we can use until they create a vaccine.
Well, so there's a lot of experiments that different medical specialists are currently testing right now. And because there's lack of patients currently for them to experiment, I mean, we really have to wait and see, because this isn't something that, it's been tested, and approved by FDA. Everybody's at the experimental trial, and whatever works. And from what I've been hearing, a lot of people use high dosage of vitamin C. I do recommend everybody take at least 1,500 milligrams of liposomal vitamin C. So if it's liposomal, your absorption rate goes up by almost 80%. So you're consuming, at least 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C to give you that immunity boost. And also take CBD. Hemp oil is...
That's exactly what I was going to tie it into, because... is it true? Well, I mean, we don't know yet because there's not enough research in it, but CBD does help prevent with inflammation. Inflammation is the root to a lot of illnesses, even getting the common cold or flu, and this is also being categorized in some situations as a pneumonia. So what is your educational opinion about that? Because you work with chemists and doctors on a daily basis.
Yes. So the cannabinoids, I think, most cannabis enthusiasts know that the U.S. government has a neuroprotectant patent. In the scientific research, there's 554 different cannabinoids that's available in 17 major categories. And cannabinoids, from our finding, basically it's a normalization process to your receptors. So it regulates our 11 major body organs, your reproductive, your respiratory, your skin system, your bone, your lymphs, your digestive. You could Google the 11 major body system, but it sends the signal from your endocannabinoid system to tell these systems to be normalized. So immune system can also be normalized if you're suffering some sort of disorder on your immune system. So, our product, we have about we do a 30-minute challenge. Like if you're abnormal, you take it, we instantly reboot you. So we get your endocannabinoid system to tell your 11 major organ system to properly function, where you stay homeostasis. So, I do recommend, the science behind it, but don't just take CBD, because you got to take the whole plant, including all the different terpenes, all the flavonoids. So the entourage effect is there, and then your absorption rate. And one of the key that we focus on is the bindability rate on the cannabinoids. A lot of the extraction process does have pure products, but they don't really bind to a receptor that properly. So if it doesn't bind to your receptor, it doesn't send any signals to the endocannabinoid system for normalization. So that's also critical too. So you wanted to get the whole plant. It's almost like you're eating whole food rather than synthetic vitamins, kind of like other big brands out there that make synthetic vitamins. Your body might not be able to take them properly, where you're just passing through, and you don't really feel anything of the normalization that happens. So try to focus on more hemp product, not just CBD isolates. That would be my recommendation if you could.
I also think another thing that a lot of people aren't talking about with this whole outbreak is the rate of depression and anxiety that's been going up. Myself, I've dealt with high anxiety for like half of my life. So like for once, I feel normal at this point. But seeing other people who don't normally struggle with anxiety or depression, like it does get very depressing to wake up every day. And like if your job got kind of cut off, what am I going to do today? Like, I'm just going to sit around. What's the point of cleaning? What's the point of getting up? What's the point of getting ready? And a lot of people who aren't commonly like known to deal with these types of things, like CBD for me has been really great in these times for helping my anxiety for when I start to get that freak out of like, well, when's the next event? When's the next job going to be? How long is this going to last? Like, it's not that it completely cures it or anything, but I do feel like it's helped kind of cope with things, because there are going to be days where it is hard to get up, it is hard to take a shower, it's hard to get ready or do anything. And I think a lot of more people need to talk about what's out there to help those people, or what's out there to help you if you are struggling with depression or anxiety. Especially
because so many people lost their jobs. I believe it was at 6 million 2 weeks ago, and I don't know what it is now with the unemployment rate. And not everyone applied for unemployment rate. Some did, some didn't. So it just
not
shows
everywhere is lenient on rent right now. Right. There's a lot of places that are like, regardless of what like the media is saying, some places are, hey, we'll give you an extension, but at the end of the day, you're still going to have to pay that back. So it's got a lot of people stressed out with like not knowing what to do. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and with CBD, as we're tying it all together, it can help with anxiety,
yes,
as
definitely.
long as it's pure, because there's a lot of placebo products out there that we have discussed a lot in our other shows, and unfortunately it's branded to be pure and good for you, but it could have a lot of gelatin in it or sugars, or it could just be all hemp and they label it as CBD.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I brought some of our COAs that I wanted to share with you.
Mm-hmm. And everyone that's new to the cannabis space that tune in on NBC Radio, if a company does not have this paperwork, don't even waste your money.
And cannot provide it for you to see physically.
Yes, this just shows that it's lab tested and that they're actually a real company. So I'll let you explain to the audience on your product and why it's also lab tested and certified and really pure in the real sense.
Yeah, so the COA I have in here sort of talks about the different cannabinoids. We're the only one that we can claim complete. So we have 9 different cannabinoids. All the essential ones are there. And we also have 7 different plant terpenes. And I'm trying to find labs I can actually test for flavonoids. But this is through 7 different extraction process and reblended. So we were confident that we capture the whole plant. So, if you feel abnormal, you take the soft gel. Easy to take, unlike tincture. You can bring it anywhere, take it anytime you want. So a tincture, you can't do it in public. But a soft gel, you could just take it out and take the soft gel. And if you want to take it sublingually, you just bite it open. Or if you don't like the taste of natural hemp, then you just swallow it with water. And the normalization usually happens within 30 minutes. So any type of pain, we did experiments at different trade shows. Anybody walking with the back pain, shoulder pain, sciatic pain, pregnancy PTSD, all kinds of consumer feedback that told us that within 30 minutes they just felt normal, and without the pain that they were struggling.
Wow, that just shows how potent it is. Because I've had people ask me, they say, I've taken CBD and it hasn't worked. I'm like, well, maybe take it consistently, maybe 2 times a day. But maybe it's because of the potency of the product they're taking, possibly?
Well, the bindability rate is key. Yeah. So most people don't talk about this. In order for the product to be effective, your body has to take it, not just absorbing it, but your receptor needs to be able to bind with it. If it doesn't bind, then it doesn't work. So, we have done a lot of studies on the bindability rates of different extraction methods. And we believe, if it's just CBD alone, you're 20% there. You really need the whole plant. You need, CBC, CBDA, you need a little bit of THCA. The whole plant gives you that effect. And with terpenes in there, natural terpenes in there, it actually amplify each other. So it's a lot stronger when you have the whole plant rather than just taking the compound in an isolation form.
Yeah, it's just so informative, and it's such a weird situation we're in at the moment because cannabis didn't become, well, it's not federally legal at the moment, but it is recreationally legal in certain states like California, obviously, where we're at right now. So not a lot of people are educated about this, and then they go to Google to figure it out, but not everything on Google's correct.
Correct, yes.
Similar to like the
social media
and everything with this whole outbreak is not everything you see online is going to be correct.
What advice do you give people? I just told them to make sure that they have the proper documents that he has, because it just shows that you're a credible company allowed to sell real CBD. But what advice do you give a lot of people that just keep thinking it's snake oil? I always get comments like that, like, oh, it's a hoax, just like what they thought about the coronavirus. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, just go to credited sites, maybe MD articles or someone like yourself. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, definitely do a lot of research and then look at backings. I personally, like to visit projectcbd.org. That's started by Dr. Bonnie Goldstein. I had the pleasure of meeting her a couple years ago, and then I just been talking to different physicians who has written books, and then there's lots of actual published books about the cannabinoid healings. UCLA, UC Irvine, UC San Diego, and all the University of California have departments that actually studies the efficacy of cannabis. And I think UCLA is at their 4th year. They do synopsises every year to talk about their research programs. I would encourage people to attend these. You can go to their website. So UCLA has it, UC San Diego has it, UC Irvine has it as well every year. Attend these and really talk to researchers and professors about it when you have questions. That has been our approach, is to talk to researchers to validate some of the experiments. And we look at all the published drug formulations within the last 100 years to formulate our product. So, we're not talking about centuries ago. We're talking about before the prohibition. Eli Lilly, Pfizer, a lot of the big drug companies actually have medicines created from cannabis. So, those are validating points and to see, what did they use in those regimens in terms of, the cough syrup or the pain cream or whatever they're doing. Those are kind of the research that we kind of go through to create products, is to piggyback on what the big drug company has done in the past to formulate, our consumer good products.
Very interesting. And the reason why I brought up the Canna Club, they were on our show a few months back, but they were explaining to how UCLA, all the UC systems are very open about educating their students and educating them even to be entrepreneurs in the industry, which is, you would have never thought maybe that would be something they would teach you at a UC maybe 10 years ago or even 5 years ago.
Oh, I went to UC Irvine and I was shocked when I found out they started to do neurodegenerative disease studies with cannabinoids. So, they're the pioneer. And I don't know if people have seen a YouTube video called Ride with Larry. There was a professor that basically that was back in 2017, where there was a tincture extract that he took it orally, and within probably 4 minutes, his Parkinson's symptom, his dyskinesia went away. And it works drastically. And THC has a different effect on CBD, and it worked on him, with the THCV in it. So straight CBD. So my mother-in-law actually had Parkinson. So when I started this journey, I was trying to find something for her. And then I got into studying the compounds, which compounds are actually more effective for different symptomatic reliefs. So that's really key. It's, don't get sold on the keyword just CBD. There's 554 different cannabinoids.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. And then there's 17 major categories. So to focus on the whole plant, because when people talk about different strains, there are different cannabinoid compositions that come with different strains and different terpene profiles. So an isolated compound, it's like ibuprofen. It does one thing, but if it's like a specific strain, it's almost like the Eastern medicine where there's 600 different plants in it, and they all amplify each other, and everybody sort of takes it and has a different effect. So I would recommend to go with full spectrum or the complete spectrum part of it as a whole hemp instead of just an isolated compound.
And it's very well said what you said, because it's true that there's so many different strands of cannabinoids. And I'm going to tie this back into the COVID-19 virus. Coronavirus, they say originally came from animals, and then it was mutated. Now humans can contract it.
Right.
But there's also now that they're putting in more money to fund the research to figure out what this really is, they're saying that so many people react differently. Some people can get a pneumonia from it. Some can be asymptomatic, where you would be carrying it and you don't know, and you can give it, unfortunately, to a loved one. Do you think it's also relative to cannabinoids and other plants and other illnesses? Like, the list goes on, how there's just different strands and different people react to it, maybe because of the conditions we're in. For instance, someone has pre-existing conditions can maybe get a pneumonia, or someone that doesn't have pre-existing conditions will just have respiratory issues, a bad
or
cough.
It's like if somebody maybe doesn't take the best care of themselves and doesn't eat healthy, might be overweight, maybe it would affect them differently even than like a person who eats healthy, who works out and whatnot, right?
Correct. Yeah. And then with this COVID-19, there's a character that's really like the HIV, where it's attacking your immune system. So maybe you don't get pneumonia, but you have weak, other things where your immune system is actually weak, then different symptoms or different diseases arise that you are not aware of because of your immune system deficiency that starts to happen being attacked by the COVID-19. So we don't really know. I mean, it's still too early, but we know it is attacking our immune system like HIV. So most patients who contract HIV don't die of HIV. They die of something else. Oh,
that's true. That is very true. And there's a lot of articles streaming. I promise these are from accredited sites, because I know we just said how some aren't credited. But unfortunately, there are people that might have a pre-existing condition like cancer, and then unfortunately they get the coronavirus, and then they die of complications to the COVID-19, but really it was the cancer just spread faster. So they're saying that because of what you just said, your immune system can get so attacked.
That's right.
That this other issue you have can just completely get you.
Correct.
And it's just a really sad situation at the moment, because they're only allowing 10 people at funerals right now. No loved ones in the hospitals.
There's somebody I follow who, like on TikTok, whose wife is pregnant right now, and he's not even allowed to go into the ultrasound room with her to be able to see the ultrasounds of his newborn or his kid that's about to be born. And that's just heartbreaking.
I wonder if he can be there for the birth.
Don't quote me on this, but I want to say they're allowing at least one person. But other than that, I don't think so.
I have a feeling they might not. And again, I don't know either, so I'm not going to say yes or no. But I don't think they are either, because think about it. If you're a grandmother or your father or even your boyfriend, husband, because young people are dying too, are about to die, they're not letting them come in. You have to FaceTime your loved ones.
It's not even just about like the newborn, it's about the mother. Like the mother's got to be very susceptible at that point because of what her body's going through, and that's got to take a toll on your immune system. So
no, it is a very scary thing, and I pray every day that hopefully this nightmare can be done. This is definitely a scary movie we're living in.
Yes, definitely. And this is real.
Yeah, it's real. So I like I've mentioned in the other podcast we had, this might humble us in a different way. Our culture would definitely change, and you having these products are definitely going to be the future, because I have the Pure8 here and you have Pure8, and that can definitely disinfect longer, which is more important.
Yes, and then the other benefit of it is, I am seeing a excessive exposure to over cleaning of toxic chemicals in the household. We have customer who buy our hand cream because they wash their hands so much that it actually burn their hands, that they use our hand cream to normalize
or gets
the
way
burn.
too dry.
Yes, and then also they're bringing excessive Lysol, Clorox all over the household. So we recommend, like, if somebody is a clean freak and then they want to do that, they can, but at least use some Pure8 in the interior, so that it can neutralize and keep your family safe for not breathing in so much toxin.
And another thing that I've been curious about, and I know that you work with chemists and doctors, and you're the CEO of this company, and you created this amazing brand, Pure8, not Purell, Pure8. Everybody wrote it down right here again. So do you think there's going to be a mutation of the COVID-19 in the next few years from everybody disinfecting so much and from this vaccine?
Well, viruses always mutate, right?
Exactly.
So, like different people get it from different areas. I mean, I try to read credible sources, and then I think they said there's 5 different major family of the coronavirus popping up from different areas. And then that has changed and mutated to, I think, over more than 70 different types.
Do you think that's why some people are dying and some people aren't? Maybe because they have a strand that's a lot more aggressive?
Because, like, say you come in contact with somebody who was directly from, like, Wuhan, and you get it, but then, like, you give it to somebody else, but through, like, touching something.
Right.
Does
Like
it kind of like kind of like go down in a degree if it's like not person to person? Or
I think some of the data are telling us that the later people that got affected, I mean, a lot of them are recovering, right? So from credible media, that a lot of people who got it didn't die from it, or people who are healthy who didn't die from it. So it could be that the mutation makes the virus less
effective.
Less effective. Yeah, that's a possibility, but I don't know. Don't quote me on it. There's limited data that we've been trying to validate to see the progression of this disease. But so far, the data that's been saying, by the World Health Organization, that China is not really having, new detections on the new coronavirus, and then other areas we are seeing a declining number of people being infected, so that's definitely positive news, and I hope that can continue as we all try to really hard to contain the outbreak.
Do you think when they do end up finding a vaccine for it, that they'll make it a mandatory one? Or do you think it'll still be like you can get it if you want, like the flu shot? Well,
it's all based on availability too, just like the tests. We are working with different manufacturers, who are doing blood tests. And, currently from what I'm hearing, like if you do the PRC test, it takes over a week because the lab are using, expensive equipments, and they can only do limited amounts at a time. So it really depends on, how much vaccination is available for people to do it. And I don't know if we'll be mandating to take the vaccination. I truly don't know. And the vaccination has to be tested too, right? So
yeah, you have to have all the, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've seen people like, oh, you can get this much money if you go into like vaccination testing at some point.
Right.
But
you don't know the consequence of that vaccine that's untested.
Because you could try something and it could end up, like, that could be what kills you.
That's correct.
They could test it on maybe 100 people, but they haven't tested it on over 1 billion, which is our population on this planet. I don't think in the U.S. they'll make it mandatory because we have private healthcare services, and we do have some, government like HMO, but then I don't know if here's everything is a choice.
Now.
Yeah, there's a lot of anti-vaccine groups here. So I don't think in this country, maybe in other countries, I think Russia will.
But Russia doesn't look like the cases were super high out there. I don't know.
They locked it down pretty serious. You can't even leave your city.
Right.
So if you're in St. Petersburg, you're stuck in St.
Nobody's allowed to leave Russia anyway.
Yeah. And so it's pretty strict over there. I know Italy's very strict. One of my cousins, she is engaged to a man in Italy, and they live in Italy. So she's been in crazy quarantine. And we tease her, and we're like, hey, if it lasts you two, because it's her fiance, then you guys should definitely get married. Because over there, the apartments are small. It's not like here in the United States.
Right.
So, but it's just crazy how the entire world is in lockdown, and it's for our best. I know it's difficult. And
I've seen videos of like police going down, like in other countries, like police driving down, and if anybody's even outside, they'll like beat you or.
Oh, in some countries?
Yeah.
Which country is that?
India.
Yeah, like India or something like that.
I've been to India.
But
I love India,
like,
but it's just it just depends on how they run the country. Fortunately, the Prime Minister of England. Sad, a lot of people did think this was a hoax, and they didn't understand the importance of being very careful, maybe having your hand sanitizer on you or having your face mask.
Just already being a clean person.
Yeah, and he thought it was a hoax. He said that he went to the hospitals in London, gave people hugs, shook their hands, showed them that it's okay, they got the flu, no worry to be scared, and now he's in ICU.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
There's
in intensive care.
a pastor going like viral on the internet saying that you can just pray away the virus and that will work.
No, I mean, it's good to have faith because it keeps you positive, but I don't know if that will cure the virus. But it's good to be positive, right? Because you don't want the anxiety to kick in.
No, the anxiety is the worst.
Yeah. But before we end the show, I want you to also bring up some more things maybe we didn't ask you, because I love picking your brain. Personally, I think you are a very powerful person already with all the great information you're providing. Give us a little bit more information before we end the show. The questions I have not asked you.
Like, what's a common
question
you get asked?
Well, so people always ask me how to apply this, right? The most common questions that I get is how to apply this and where to apply it. So you can apply them on disposable mask. You don't want to make it super wet because water does damage the fiber on it. So you just want to give a light mist. And then the mist is enough to cover the entire mask. And that's all you need. And then just leave it.
You want to do both sides, right?
No, you only do one side. Because the nanoparticles will travel because they're so small, nano 5 in size. It will... you will notice that your
mask... We're going to spray these mics to the engineers.
You can spray everything, because as long as you don't wipe it and clean it, because this product wasn't designed as a commercial product to bind for over a year, but we can do that for the commercial products. So this is more for just personal use. So you can spray on that. You can spray on your jacket. You can actually save money on dry cleaning costs, because if you go Korean barbecue, so before the I can prove the smell to you very fast. If you go to Korean barbecue or go to a cigar bar or you smoke, you just spray on your jacket. You leave it under the sun is the fastest because it contains UV lights, but it will work with any type of lights. It's just the intensity of the negative ion is not as much compared to UV lights. So if somebody has access to UV light, they could just shine in and it disinfects within seconds. But you can spray on your jacket, you can spray on your shoes, gloves, door handle. So if it's a common area, I will spray around the door handle and the door handle itself. So it could get wiped off when 100 people touches it, but around it at least it's emitting negative ions, so it will help protect that area. Light switches, some of the common area in the house that everybody touch, your remote control, just things that multiple
car keys,
and then you need a little bit of lights for it to be effective. And then the other ones I would recommend is, when I go home, I generally just, I spray the entrance when I go into the house, which is from the garage. I have my laundry room in there, and then I coat the entire laundry room and have a UV light in there. So as soon as I walk in, I change clothes, wash my hands, and then have a clean clothes and go into the room. So while that laundry room is constantly being disinfected, because it's such a small space, and then the air movement moves the nanoparticles around, so that it can clear anything that's stuck in my jacket, my pants, my socks, my shoes.
Now, with sanitizing your grow, would you just spray this around on the walls?
You will have it coated on the wall, yes. So you will have it coated on the wall, and you will have it coated by the pot, because a lot of the fungus will happen if there's too much nutrients in there and doesn't get light. So you can spray it by the actual pot. Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, thank you very much, Andy, for being on Green Talk. This is what Green Talk is all about, actually, everyone, because we like to inform you guys, educate you guys, and especially during these difficult times for everybody with the COVID-19 crisis, we really want you all to be safe and to be properly educated. So I have their products right here at the bottom of the screen. I'm also going to be putting their website right down here. And thank you again, Andy, for being on our program. I'm Yanitza Munoz. Everyone stay safe. You guys are tuned in to Green Talk on NBC Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and more. And I'm here with my lovely co-host,
And it's your girl, Angela Mazzanti. Make sure you stay safe out there. And thank you again to our lovely guest.
I really do think it's a game changer, and it can save a lot of lives, to be honest with you.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, we want to encourage everybody to do this at scale. So at least there's an invisible shield protecting our local community.
Yes, very well said. Thank you, everyone. Till next time.